In Formula 1, races aren't always won at 300 kilometers per hour. Sometimes they're won standing still. One wrong call and you're a hero turned heartbreak. One perfect pit and you've just stolen a win from the jaws of defeat. From undercuts that break rivals to multi-stop madness that rewrites history, these are the pit strategies that make or break Formula 1. Let's break them all down. Pit stops explained. Before pit strategies, you have to understand pit stops a bit, because the FIA has made one pit stop mandatory in the dry races. In fact, in the Monaco Grand Prix, 2 pit stops are mandatory, so every team has to utilize this stop quite cleverly to get maximum benefit from it. So, what are they? Well, during the race, drivers have to drive out of the main grid and get into a pit lane that is present on the side of the track. These pit lanes have a speed limit. It is usually 80 kilometers per hour, but at tight tracks like Monaco, only 60 kilometers per hour. Drivers have to drive on these pit lanes to get to their team's pit stop. Now, braking is an art here. Drivers have to brake quite late to save precious seconds on this lane, but if they brake unnecessarily late, then they can cross their team's pit line. This is a disaster because you can't reverse your car in the pit lane, and your team members have to push your car to get it in its desired position. This is going to waste a lot of time. Once you stop at your team's pit stop, 20 crew members will come out to change your tires. There are different sorts of tires in the F1 world, and every tire has its purpose. Soft tire wears out quickly but is fast. Harder lasts longer but takes time to warm up. Mediums are in between. In wet conditions, there are 2 types of tires. Intermediate ones that are too slick for dry tracks but are ideal when the grid is a bit damp. At last, there are full wets that are used when tracks look like a river. A team of 20 skilled members changes your tires in just 2 to 3 seconds. They select the tire type based on strategy and execute the change in a flash. If required, they can also fine-tune your car's aerodynamics. Red Bull has the record of completing a pit stop in 1.8 seconds. This saves precious seconds for their drivers and helps them lead the race. Weather strategy: rain complicates pit stops. While the FIA hasn't made them mandatory in wet conditions, teams often still need to pit to carry out optimal race strategies. When rain pours, teams must decide whether to switch from slick tires to intermediates or full wets. And when the rain stops, you have to judge the exact moment to risk switching back to slicks. Because too early means skating off like Bambi on ice, and too late means you have lost 20 seconds to someone braver. Every race weekend, pit strategies change. And if you're not following, you're missing half the story. Hit subscribe now so you're in the loop before the next lights out. Lando Norris managed to win his first home trophy in 2025 because of his ideal pit stop timing in the wet conditions. In the British Grand Prix, the grid continued to switch between dry and wet patches. A lot of drivers switched to dry tires quite soon and pay the price. Their accidents and crashes triggered numerous virtual and full safety cars, enabling Lando to get into the 3rd position. Verstappen was leading the race, but his tires gave up in the rain. Oscar Piastri also faced disaster because of the weather, but Lando wisely switched his tires at the ideal moment and capitalized on his tire health to win the race. Undercut strategy. The undercut is a strategic move where a driver pits for fresh tires earlier than a rival ahead, aiming to gain track position by setting faster lap times while the other car stays out on worn tires. Because fresh tires provide more grip and better performance, the undercutting driver can often lap significantly quicker. When the rival finally pits a lap or 2 later, they may rejoin the track behind the undercutting car, having lost time on older rubber. The undercut is especially effective on tracks where tire degradation is high or where overtaking on track is difficult, making pit stop timing a powerful weapon. Hungary, Spain, or Bahrain tracks are ideal for this strategy. However, it requires a clean out lap, meaning the first lap after a pit stop and no traffic to maximize the benefit. Otherwise, the strategy can backfire. Let's rewind to the 2025 Canadian Grand Prix, where George Russell won the championship by using the double undercut strategy. He was on pole position 1 with Verstappen just behind him. Max dove into the pits on lap 13 for a fresh set of hard tires, but Russell pushed hard and came in on the next lap, and crucially, he emerged just ahead of Verstappen by undercut defense. Russell kept a 1.5-second lead on Verstappen throughout the middle part of the race. When Verstappen pitted again around lap 38, Mercedes chose to box Russell on lap 43, once again executing a near-perfect stop and bringing him out ahead of Verstappen by just over a second. That second undercut block essentially won Russell the race. Overcut strategy. Let's say car A is ahead of car B on track, but both are very close in lap times. Normally, you would expect car B to try and undercut to pit early and jump ahead, but in an overcut, car A actually stays out longer on older tires, while car B pits first. Now after car B pits, they come out with fresh tires, but they're heavier with fuel and need a lap or 2 to get up to temperature. Meanwhile, car A despite being on older tires, pushes hard with clean air ahead, lighter fuel, and a clear track. If car A can set faster lap times than car B during this period, it can pit later and still come out ahead. So, in this case, the overcut works because the driver on older tires manages to gain time after their rival pits, flipping the positions through raw pace and smart timing. The overcut is rare but powerful when there is still fight in the tires. The car is fast in clean air, or when a pit lane is especially long. It works in low tire degradation tracks such as Monaco, where old tires can sustain their lives easily. Safety car strategy. Safety cars are deployed during on-track incidents such as crashes or debris. When this happens, the safety car leads the field, bunching up the cars while marshals clear the track. In these conditions, lap times slow down by approximately 60%. Except for a full safety car, there is a virtual car safety situation too. In it, no real car is deployed on the track, but the FIA announced that lap times should slow down by 40%. In this situation, pitting is ideal. Because the lap time is slow, you will not lose enough time in your pit stop. Like if a normal lap is 100 seconds, under the safety car it stretches to 160, meaning a car entering the pits will not fall as far behind. But if a safety car is deployed in the last 2 to 3 laps, it is wise not to pit and maintain your position, because most likely the race is going to end under safety car conditions and no overtaking is allowed here. So, leaving your position is not wise. However, in virtual safety car conditions, overtaking is allowed and pit stops don't cost you precious seconds. So, pitting in this situation is ideal. Alonso, at the 2022 Miami Grand Prix, took advantage of the virtual safety car to win the race. One stop. The one-stop strategy means that a driver will only pit once during the race. They will ideally start the race on soft and medium tires, go into the pit stop in the middle of the race to get hard tires, and then drag them for the rest of the race. This strategy works on a track with less tire degradation. Miami and Spain are the best examples. With these tracks, you need a car that's kind to its tires, a driver with a silky smooth driving style, and conditions that don't throw a wrench into your plan, like sudden rain or an aggressive safety car after your pit stop. Two-stop. A two-stop strategy means a driver plans to pit twice during the race to change tires, aiming to balance tire wear with performance. This strategy is often used on tracks with high tire degradation, or when conditions demand softer compounds that wear out faster. Compared to a one-stop, it allows the driver to push harder on each stint since they don't need to preserve tires for as long. For example, driver X starts the race on medium tires and pits on lap 15 for soft tires, allowing for faster lap times in the middle stint. Then, they pit again on lap 40 for another set of softs to attack in the final laps. Meanwhile, driver Y does a one-stop strategy, going from hard tires on lap 25 and trying to make them last till the end. If driver X's pace on fresh tires outweighs the time lost in the extra pit stop, the two-stop strategy pays off, especially if traffic and tire performance are managed well. This strategy is ideal in uncertain situations, like if a safety car is deployed in the middle of the race, rain starts pouring, tires start acting out, or grid temperature becomes uncertain. But it's not all sunshine and champagne. If just one stop goes wrong, you are out of the race. Multi-stops. As the name indicates, this strategy involves multiple pit stops, typically 3 or more. It is often seen as a bold tactical move to maximize tire performance and raw speed. While it seems risky since each stop costs time in the pits, it can work brilliantly if the driver consistently sets fast laps on fresher tires. One of the most famous examples of this was executed by Michael Schumacher at the 2004 French Grand Prix. In that race at Magny-Cours, Ferrari and Schumacher made a daring decision to use a 4-stop strategy, while rivals like Fernando Alonso were on a standard 2-stop plan. Schumacher stopped on laps 12, 29, 42, and 58. His purpose was to use short, aggressive stints on light fuel and fresh tires to keep lapping much faster than his competitors. Despite spending more time in the pits overall, Schumacher's relentless pace allowed him to leapfrog Alonso during the final round of stops and win the race. It is the masterclass in precision and intelligence. But this is not suitable for weak-hearted people, as one long pit stop can ruin your race. Moreover, this strategy is best suited for extremely abrasive circuits, such as Silverstone, Suzuka, or Imola. So, this is the brief explanation of different pit strategies. If you have any confusion, feel free to ask in the comments section.